Now is there sound? Oh, now I see like little sound
Yeah, I see
sound
it coming
things.
through here as well.
Ha.
All right, I'm just gonna do a change and see if it breaks. No? Okay.
Okay. Tyler saves the day. I will
Did
start.
we not have sound yesterday?
We weren't back here yesterday. Sandy was in the kitchen yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Loud and
Right.
clear.
There
Problem
we
solved. Thank you, Tyler. Don't quite know what happened there, but here we are. back to functioning. So yes, hi. We're just after Thanksgiving. If you can read lips really well, you may have got the first part of that where I was like, no sound, no sound. It got kind of silly. Today I'm going to do a little bit of decorative stitching on the new Bernina 790 Pro. We are well and truly into fall sewing weather outside. There's been a bit of rain. The leaves are all falling off the trees. It's, you know, it's inside weather now, in my opinion. If you're in that crowd of people that goes camping, you're probably winterizing your trailer and putting your camping gear away. Or maybe you're hardcore and you're going to keep going out a couple more weekends. That's up to you. Anyway, I have the new Bernina 790 Pro up on the table. It has one of my absolute favorite things built into it, and that is a needle point laser. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, and we're going to do a little bit of decorative stitching with that needle point laser because there's things you can see that are much easier to manage when that's installed. So let's switch over to that camera. And right now, I have a open toe foot on so that we can see right down onto the bed of the machine where that lovely little red dot is. If you don't like sewing with the laser on, it's easy enough to turn it off. It's just an on-off switch on the screen. But if you were trying to do something like stitch down ribbon, and I'm just going to glue my ribbon in place to hold it where I want it so that it doesn't wiggle around on me. Maybe I'm sewing ribbon trim onto the bottom of a tea towel or onto a skirt or wherever else you'd want to put trim. And you want to be able to ensure that your stitches are going to land exactly where you want them and not weave on and off of your ribbon. So when we put the foot down, I can decide that the ribbon that I have fits quite nicely in this open toe 20D foot that I have. But I don't really want to stitch with the needle right down the middle of the ribbon. I would like to stitch right down the edge of the ribbon. That would make me much happier. So on board, I can use the needle position buttons to move my needle over and have the edge of the ribbon tucked just inside the edge of the foot. And I can see exactly where the needle is going to land in every needle position. So as I move that needle over, I can see where that's landing. And maybe I decide I'm going to do the other side of this stitch first. So a couple more things I can do. If I decide I really like this particular stitch the way it is, awesome. But if I want to stitch down the left-hand side of the ribbon, I want my blanket stitch going onto my ribbon, I think. So I'm going to go into my I for Info menu and mirror this stitch. And then I can still move that needle position all the way over to the left-hand side. Maybe we'll lift the foot. Just drop that right down there. And I can see that my needle is going to land right in the edge of that ribbon where it is right now. And I think that's where I'd like to have it. I've got a really pretty variegated thread on that kind of coordinates with the fabric. And I know from the very first needle going down that the needle is going to land where I want it to land. I'm going to put the feed dogs back up because I was embroidering on this yesterday. So a couple stitches like this, and then I'll get the camera rearranged so you guys can see this up close. So bear with me a moment. I'm just going to pull that camera in way tighter. Now that we have our screen set up the way we want it, we'll move that camera right into our sewing area and maybe turn the lights back on now. And we'll see if you can still see the laser light with the actual sewing lights turned on. Nope, you can't see the laser. So if I raise the needle, nope, you can't see the laser. We're going to turn the lights back off. I can see the laser just fine. But on board the camera here, it's a little bit trickier. So needlepoint laser showing up right inside the edge of the foot there. So when the needle's up in the air, the laser is going to show exactly where that next stitch is going to land. And I could use this to my advantage if I wanted to do something like pivot my ribbon. I'm just going to get ready to glue it in place. Put a little fold in my ribbon. Grab a stiletto. The incredibly popular stiletto has moved. Stiletto has moved from where I last had it. We rearranged everything a week ago. But I'm going to go down and I'll be able to see exactly when the pivot will happen. Closer into that corner. And this very next stitch, I'm going to raise the needle. The fabric is moved forward that single stitch, and I can see by the laser that the needle is going to land exactly in that corner where I folded the fabric. So I can drop the needle because I'm happy with where it's landing, do my little pivot, and then carry on down the side here. And if this was the end of the ribbon and I was ready to carry on and go back the other side, I could hit the knot function on board the machine, knot in place, and I could use the thread cutter if that's how I wanted to approach that. So I've got around the corner with that fancy little blanket stitch. And now I'd like to come down and go along the other side, but maybe I want to go pick a different stitch. Because we can't let one stitch have all the fun. And now I've got a slightly different stitch picked, that instead of having a baseline that goes down one side of the stitch, maybe I want the center line of this stitch to go along the edge of my ribbon so that the stitch falls on and off the ribbon. Again, I can see exactly where that needle's going on the center and on the sides of this stitch. And when I go to set up that very first stitch, I can lower the foot when I have the needle going in where I'd like it to go in. So I've lowered the foot, and right now the center of that stitch is going to go right down the edge of my ribbon with the little feather things coming off either side. And for both the blanket stitch and this decorative feather, I have some tearaway stabilizer in behind my fabric. And as I get closer into the corner, I can use the needle up, needle down on the back of the foot pedal to take individual stitches. And we can see where the next travel stitch is going to happen. And it's right in the corner of my ribbon. I'll be honest, mostly I lucked out on that. And where it's headed next will be on the outside, back in there. And this is a stitch where we can pivot when we're in the middle because that's the baseline of the stitch. I can line up just the same way. And carry on down fabric. But being able to see where that needle is going to land before it goes in makes doing these decorative stitches so much easier. Next one's a short little one, all the way out to the left, back into the middle, little one, all the way out to the right, and little one. Well, that's a fun little stitch. I want to make more things with ribbon. And again, I'm just going to use that knot feature. Oh, use the knot and then I can cut. And then we've got all of those stitches exactly where I want them on this ribbon, nicely stabilized with that tearaway stabilizer underneath. And I was able to have my pivots on those corners land exactly where I wanted them to, which makes me really super happy. So that's just an idea of how you might use the needlepoint laser. So if you know something's going to need to line up really accurately, you can turn that laser on, know exactly where this is going to go down, and this will be useful for all sorts of technical sewing things. If you need to pivot in a Y seam, if you need to stop in a Y seam, or if you're trying to sew something where you have to pivot on something like a neckline of a shirt, this feature is going to be incredibly, incredibly helpful. But also just with decorative stitches, you're going to know exactly where every single one of those little pieces is going to land, and there's no overshooting your corners on your blanket stitch applique again. So it matches the shirt I'm wearing, but maybe I'll have to go make more things with that because that was pretty fun. I absolutely love that thread. It's a variegated isocord. So that is what I had to show you guys today. Needlepoint laser in I know Maureen and Chelsea have talked about that with embroidery, but totally useful for just sewing as well. And you don't have to embroider on this machine if you don't want to. But you could use that to line up your quilting, all sorts of things. You'll know exactly where that needle is going to go down. Fabricing behind me today, we have a whole bunch of new wide backs in the store because it's quilt season. It's time to make quilts. Quilt your quilts. Get them out as gifts for Christmas. So we've got some more basic... Oh, some of these are flannel. These are flannel wide backs. Sorry, flannel wide backs there. And then the other couple bolts I have at this end are just wee little bolts of ombre wide backs. This one goes from purple to yellow. I think it's Scream. It's very pretty. Has some fun peachy colors. Looks kind of like a sunset in there. So very neat wide back. Depending what your quilts are, something like that might be something you want to acquire. Other things on the go around here. It is the right time of year if you are looking for a machine. There are new things launched like the 790 Pro. There's some new Brother machines. There's some sales coming up. And if you know somebody looking to save a few pennies on a machine, we have a really good selection of trade-in machines right now. They're looking for new homes. So they've all been serviced and they're all vetted. They're good to go home. So if you're looking to maybe get a travel machine or a machine for a new sewer, and you want them to be able to have some pretty sweet features, come and talk to us. We've got some good stuff out there ready for you. Other classes and things coming up that you might want to be aware of. We are running new owners classes. So in the next couple weeks, there's Brother New Owners Embroidery, Brother Sewing, Bernina Sewing. There's probably another serger class on the books. So if you have got a new machine, you will want to get in for one of those classes so you can learn all the cool tricks and all the cool things those machines can do for you. Even from the very basic ones all the way up to our top of the line. You'll learn some good stuff. Coming up in November, we have some more project classes. We have Smith Street Designs embroidery and quilting class. We're doing a pieced quilt with embroidered blocks called Marianne Bright. I've been working on the embroidery. It is so much fun. The blocks are great. They're big. So depending on your hoop size, we'll either be helping you multi-hoop, or maybe you have hoops big enough to just make the big blocks without multi-hooping. But we'll talk about multi-hooping, scan and cut, some piecing techniques, and at the end of 4 weeks of that, you will have a great Christmas quilt that is ready to quilt and bind and snuggle under for Christmas this year. If we work diligently, we'll get it done. And we're doing a stuffed animal class. Our Funky Friends class will be covering stuffed animals. That'll run 2 days in November as well. So those are dates you don't want to miss. The stuffed animals are lots of fun. They're going to be awesome if you want to make Christmas gifts. They're adorable, and the patterns are stellar. So you'll be able to make everything from a platypus to a T-Rex. Make whichever one makes you happy. That's what I have for you guys today. So thank you for joining me. Happy stitching. And if you have machine questions, definitely reach out to us at sewingmachines@mysewingroom.ca or shop online at mysewingroom.ca. Like, share, subscribe, and all those good things. So we